on this Sunday night.
There's the opportunity to reduce taxation, make us even more competitive.
Canada sets its sights on Asia as one of the world's biggest trade deals comes into effect. Who stands to profit and what's on the line for you?
I don't think she knows who she is or where she is.
Raising awareness and sharing in grief.
Just knowing somebody else was going through it was all I needed.
How Jan Arden started a national conversation about Alzheimer's.
A happy ending to the search for 3 men missing in BC's backcountry. Their reunion is our moment of the day. This is The National. Donald Trump's trade war, NAFTA, even Brexit. 2018 has been dominated by debates about not just who crosses borders, but also what. It's trade that can make or unmake industries and really shape the economic landscape. And today, a big trade agreement went into effect. It's called the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership. And for Canada and 5 other countries, the agreement, also known as the TPP 11, comes into effect immediately. Vietnam joins in a couple of weeks, and the rest still need ratification. The U.S., notably, is not part of the deal, but even without it, the trade pact will be one of the world's largest, covering, get this, 495 million people that represent more than 13% of the world's GDP. And over the long term, it's expected to add more than $4 billion to Canada's annual GDP. Some industries, especially farmers, will notice changes right away. But as Chris O'Neill-Yates explains, there will be winners and losers.
At this Vancouver warehouse, these plastic pails are destined for construction sites overseas. They're filled with an additive that makes cement waterproof.
We're looking at places like Peru and Japan, and those are great markets for our products. So this is our crystal internal membrane.
Carrie Ewers has been exporting for 40 years. This pact will reduce tariffs and regulatory barriers as well.
When we can sell more into these other jurisdictions, we can hire more people here, we can pay our people more money, we can provide more benefits and pensions and enhance their lives.
Half of Canada's container traffic moves through the Port of Vancouver. Under this agreement, it's going to get a lot busier, shipping more things like agricultural products to Asian markets. BC fruit growers hope to see exports double.
Even if the U.S. comes along later, we will have established a relationship with the buyers, with the customers in those countries, and that gives us a head start.
But not every industry stands to benefit. Dairy producers, for example, will be dealing with more competition. In a statement, dairy farmers say they feel very betrayed by Ottawa over market concessions. They say the federal government handed up to 18% of the industry away in under 4 years. But overall, government says Canadians will see benefits.
You may not notice it the very next day, but you're going to notice it over time as these tariffs reduce to zero or very nearly zero, that it's going to make goods cheaper in Canada.
Take Japanese cars assembled overseas. They'll be cheaper as the 6% tariff is phased out. But the deal isn't an immediate bonanza for Canadian consumers, according to this trade lawyer.
Really, this is an opportunity more than a big bang event. It's really going to be what we make of it.
Already 5 other countries, including the UK and Indonesia, are showing interest in joining this agreement. Chris O'Neill-Yates, CBC News, Vancouver.
Without the U.S., there might not have been a TPP. The Obama administration was really a key architect of the original deal, but that was then.
We will also immediately stop the job-killing Trans-Pacific Partnership.
Donald Trump, in the last election, famously campaigned against the TPP and ditched it soon after taking office. But the TPP survived, and now that the U.S. is out, Canada could in fact do even better under the deal, thanks in part to having weakened U.S. competition in heavily protected markets like Japan.
So who could forget what Donald Trump famously campaigned for as he ran for president? A big, beautiful wall, as he called it, to stop migrants crossing the southern border of the U.S. But 2 years into the Trump administration, no wall, And a fight over funding for it has shut down much of the U.S. government for 9 full days. But as Ron Charles reports, now there's a glimmer of hope for a deal.
Republican Senator Lindsey Graham came out of a 2-hour lunch meeting with Donald Trump today, suggesting a path to end the stalemate over funding for Trump's border wall.
I've never been more encouraged if we can get people talking.
Graham says there could be a compromise that includes money for Trump's wall and something Democrats want, a permanent solution that would allow the so-called dreamers who were brought to the U.S. illegally as children to live without fear of deportation.
I think that's in the realm of possibility. The president didn't commit, but I think he's very open-minded.
The Democrats have steadfastly refused any funding for a wall, and Trump has refused to sign any government funding bill without it. On the campaign trail, Trump insisted the wall will be up to 30 feet high and made from thick concrete. But in an interview published in the LA Times today, outgoing White House Chief of Staff John Kelly said, "We left a solid concrete wall early on in the administration when we asked people what they needed and where they needed it." Trump has changed the language to describe his promise, using various terms including wall, barrier, and fencing, even recently tweeting a diagram showing pointy metal slats. White House officials downplay the different terms for what Trump promised.
It is a silly semantic argument because people who just want to say wall, wall, wall want it to be a 4-letter word and not respect what Customs and Border Patrol and ICE tell us they need, which is enhancements at the border.
The partial government shutdown is likely to continue for some time because on Thursday the new Congress begins and Democrats are taking control of the House of Representatives, meaning it will be even harder for Trump to get his agenda through. Ron Charles, CBC News, Washington.
In just 2 days, Alberta's plan to boost oil prices will kick into effect, cutting production for the first time in decades in that province. It's an action the Premier says is difficult but necessary at a time when many Albertans say they feel frustrated with Ottawa's inaction for the energy sector. As Austin Grabish reports, they have a new plan to make sure they're heard.
Anger has been building in Alberta for months, and oil workers say the federal government just isn't listening. Now they're vowing to take their fight all the way to Ottawa.
There's going to be, across this nation, of a lot of people wanting to get involved, whether or not it's from BC all the way across to Ottawa, where they'll want to get in on this convoy, big and small.
Chad Miller is a father of 3. The contractor has seen work dry up. He's helping to organize a convoy that he says will go to the nation's capital in February.
Some of this funding is available to deal with the cash flow issues.
Miller feels the federal government's recent $1.6 billion aid package does little for people like him. The money is mainly in the form of loans for oil producers. But Natural Resources Minister Amarjeet Sohi's office insisted Sunday the cash will support workers and make the country competitive. Quote, "We will not back down from supporting this sector and the hardworking Canadians it employs." But Alberta's Premier says loans aren't good enough.
But we've been very firm that what Alberta needs and what Canada needs is for Alberta to be able to succeed. And that means being able to get projects built.
Pipeline advocate Susan Sexton agrees. She's keeping a close watch on the situation from Winnipeg. Members of her family have been laid off.
We've had some personal tragedies in our family related to the downturn in 2015, and it's a political crisis. This didn't have to happen.
Trudeau, we don't want your money.
Back at Rocky Mountain House, people are struggling, and worker Aquina Dennis says this is Canada's problem.
This is one of the things that everybody relies on, and so does the rest of the country rely on us. And you take that away, well then, where's Canada?
And Albertans like her say they'll be on Ottawa's doorstep soon to make sure their voices are heard. Austin Grabish, CBC News, Winnipeg.
A National Energy Board study that was out last week paints a picture about just what Alberta's up against. Western Canada is producing 365,000 extra barrels of crude a day that's not flowing into pipelines. And that's why Alberta's government is taking those drastic measures, imposing a production cut of 325,000 barrels a day. That starts on Tuesday, hoping that will ease the crisis and bolster prices. In the meantime, oil producers are increasingly turning to rail to transport their products, almost 2.5 times more than a year ago.
Jan Arden, whose music and books and social media posts have captivated Canadians, has been sharing another story with this country, that of her mother's excruciating journey with Alzheimer's. Well, late last night, Arden's mom, Joan, died. What and who Alzheimer's takes is a trauma an increasing number of Canadians can relate to. According to the Alzheimer's Society of Canada, approximately 564,000 Canadians are currently living with some form of dementia. And over the next 15 years, that figure is expected to grow to 937,000 as the population ages. Adrian Chung shows us how Jan Arden worked to break down the stigmas.
Jan Arden's message, a simple one. Mom is gone. The response to her post overwhelming, with thousands reacting to news that Arden's mother had died after a long struggle with dementia. She spoke and wrote openly about her mother's final years.
This just isn't forgetting how to set the clock radio or little banal things that happen in day-to-day life. This is, something's wrong.
And Arden, ever an honest voice, opened up about her own struggles as a caregiver, even writing a book called Feeding My Mother. She said it was hard for her to accept the new reality.
I was the memory police. I'd correct her. I'm still very much in denial.
Arden posted often on Facebook.
I don't think she knows who she is or where she is.
A community of caregivers to their own loved ones was born.
But just knowing somebody else was going through it was all I needed.
Money doesn't protect you from grief, and I think this platform and the way that she shared her journey is really beautiful.
Arden's not the only prominent Canadian raising awareness of dementia.
Shame and stigma associated with the disease.
Comedian Seth Rogen created Hilarity for Charity, raising money for Alzheimer's research. His mother-in-law was diagnosed with dementia.
I want to pay tribute to the caregivers, to the service providers.
And Conservative MP Lisa Raitt shared her husband's struggles with early onset dementia.
Jan Arden has really done a tremendous job, I think, opening herself up and talking about her experiences.
Neurologists like Anthony Levinson are following Arden's journey and have created a site to explain the stages of dementia and what caregivers can do to help.
The more people, draw attention to this issue, the higher the likelihood that they'll draw support from one another and realize that they're not alone.
Not just a comfort, but a tool for caregivers in an often lonely fight, a fight Jan Arden knows all too well. Adrian Chung, CBC News, Toronto.
Now, as you plan for New Year's Eve tomorrow, remember this. There is a new law that makes it easier for police to test drivers for alcohol and drugs. Before, officers had to have a, quote, reasonable suspicion that a driver had been drinking before demanding a breathalyzer. But now, any driver they legally stop can be forced to give that sample. The CBC's Kayla Hounsell got a first-hand look at how police will check for impairment.
Okay, so you can stand up now. So that goes in there. You're going to blow here.
This young woman is providing a breath sample after being picked up for impaired driving. It's just after noon on a Monday.
Keep blowing, keep blowing, keep blowing. Okay.
Providing a breath sample is the first step in a 12-step drug recognition evaluation process. But before we show you how this ends, let's talk about how we got here. Okay, let's go. We're riding along with Corporal Dal Hutchinson of the Nova Scotia RCMP. He's taking us to a checkpoint where officers are looking for alcohol and drugs.
With the legalization of cannabis, obviously there's an increase in people that are going to consume it.
When we arrive, Constable Chad Morrison is already pulling over drivers.
Hi there. How are you today, sir?
He's an expert in drug recognition.
Anything to drink today, sir? No. Any drugs used today? Nope. Excellent.
And that's the way most of these encounters end.
Drive safe. Have a Merry Christmas. You too.
But within the first 30 minutes, officers meet that young woman you saw blowing the breathalyzer.
When was the last time you used any drugs or alcohol?
Not in a while.
Morrison demands that she perform a physical coordination test.
Do you feel comfortable doing that? Watch yourself there, yeah.
He checks her eyes.
Okay, you can begin.
Okay. And her balance.
1, 2, 3.
Based on the way you performed on those tests, I'm placing you under arrest. Okay.
He suspects drug-impaired driving.
Keep blowing.
Back at the detachment, the woman blows the breathalyzer, more than 2.5 times the legal limit. And that makes the officer change the reason for her arrest.
I'm just explaining you that the sort of the scope of our investigation is shifting from drugs to alcohol.
Morrison decides not to use the new approved drug screening equipment.
This is the Drager Drug Test 5000.
So he demonstrates on me.
This is the spongy piece that's going to collect your oral fluid.
Okay. It is the only approved equipment in Canada as of June. And do you know that RCMP are using it right across the country?
I couldn't say that it's all across the country. I believe there are other jurisdictions that are using it.
Morrison puts my sample in the machine. And how long will this take now?
This will take about 4 to 5 minutes.
It tests for cocaine and cannabis.
And so if you look at the bottom, it says cocaine negative and THC negative.
The RCMP has expanded training as a result of legalization. There were double the number of courses this year for drug recognition experts.
There are still lots of people out there that are driving while under the influence of alcohol, and there are still lots of people out there that are driving while under the influence of drugs. We consider both to be equally dangerous and important for us to enforce.
We're going to be out in full force. We're going to have increased checkpoints.
Their message over the holidays is simple. Using marijuana may be legal. Using it while driving is not. Kayla Hounsell, CBC News, Enfield, Nova Scotia.
Here are some of the other stories we're following tonight, beginning with the long-anticipated presidential election in the Democratic Republic of Congo.
I don't have any concerns as I speak to you. My only concern is that we have this very heavy rain and probably voter turnout might be low.
The torrential rain, the long lines, and broken down machines disrupted voting in Africa's second largest country. By the time polls closed, the opposition alleged alarming voter irregularities. There's already been deadly violence over the decision to exclude more than 1 million people from the vote, people who live in Ebola-affected zones. The results will be announced within a week. And Australia is the latest country to condemn China for detaining 2 Canadians. It has been 20 days since entrepreneur Michael Spavor and former Canadian diplomat Michael Kovrig were taken into Chinese custody following the arrest of a Huawei executive Meng Wanzhou in Vancouver. Australia's Foreign Minister Maurice Payne says China's actions are, quote, concerning. The EU, the US, and the UK have already spoken out in defense of Canada.
Boxes made of ticky-tacky and they all look just the same.
And the Canadian band Walk Off the Earth says keyboard player Mike Taylor died in his sleep last night. That's him in the toque. He was fondly known as the Beard Guy. In a statement, the Juno Award-winning band said Mike had a love for life that was unmatched and a willingness to give that went beyond ordinary means. He passed peacefully from natural causes last night in his sleep. Walk Off the Earth will no longer perform at tomorrow's New Year's Eve concert featured on CBC Television.
Lots more still ahead tonight on The National. In our Sunday interview, we revisit one of my favorites, my conversation with Mark Critch. He talks about catching the comedy bug, making fun of politicians, and that one time he might have gone a little too far.
And America in the Age of Trump, a reporter's notebook from Paul Hunter uncovering a polarizing president.
It's exhausting, is my guess, but straight ahead, how the opioid epidemic has some U.S. cities creating homes for a growing family dynamic, children being raised by grandparents.
I've had Akira since she was 2 years old, and she's 10 now. So we've spent a lot of time together. We've been through a lot.
A growing number of seniors are finding themselves parents again. In Canada, more than 51,000 are the sole caregivers for young children. That's double what it was in 2001. And in the U.S., 2.5 million grandparents are responsible for their grandchildren. Part of the reason for the rising numbers, the opioid crisis. As Lindsay Duncombe found out, some American cities are stepping up to help these grand families.
Oh, good. So how was International Day? It was really fun.
In the middle of one of Washington's trendiest neighborhoods, Tanya Carter and her granddaughter Akira are home. This high-rise feels worlds away from their old place.
Where we used to live, a lot of gun shooting and fighting, and dirty, very dirty in the hallways. You got to climb over people just to get into my apartment because, you know, they were all in the stairwells, you know, and everything.
It was just so unsafe. It just, you know, sometimes it just made me upset. But now that I'm here, I get to go outside, I get to play.
Is them your spelling words for this week?
No, this is social studies.
This subsidized apartment, partially funded by a charity, is made especially for families like theirs, Grandfamilies.
I've had Akira since she was 2 years old, and she's 10 now. So we've spent a lot of time together. We've been through a lot.
She got custody of me because my mother, she wasn't exactly fit to take care of me at that point.
No, I never imagined I would be raising a newborn all over again. But I wouldn't trade it in for the world because I love her so much.
Washington is one of 9 American cities with affordable housing units especially designed for grandparents raising children.
There's 10 floors and there's 5 units on each floor.
To qualify, the grandparent has to be older than 55, raising a child younger than 17 on an income less than around $32,000 a year.
There's stories of their children being incarcerated, drug addiction. The stories range from a lot of heartache, but a lot of perseverance to just keep doing what they're doing to make sure that their grandchildren have the best life that they can have. It is very senior specific to them.
What does that mean? There's a senior-friendly gym.
The numbers on the machine are very large print for them.
Those are huge.
Yes.
So let's just put these two.
And a computer room, which is a challenge for some grandparents.
We ain't had nothing like this. Nothing like this. Nothing like this.
It's a community.
Well, I guess it feels really normal because a lot of my friends, you know, they would live with their parents. And now I guess I feel like I have some people who are, you know, the same as me. 80.
Akira wants to be a chef when she grows up. She does well in school and says her grandma can be strict sometimes.
I'm not strict, it's just I'm overprotective, you know, because I really fought to get her. I really did. And I won't lose her to no one.
The best part of their new home? They are together and safe. Lindsay Duncombe, CBC News, Washington.
Our reporter's notebook also comes from south of the border. From fake news to a controversial Supreme Court nominee, Paul Hunter reflects on covering the U.S. in the age of Donald Trump. That's coming up.
But next, in our Sunday interview, Mark Critch opens up about growing up surrounded by great storytellers and his big breakout performance.
My first laugh was I was playing the color yellow in the big show at the school concert, and the Archbishop was there and everything. It was a very big deal.
To many Canadians, the province of Newfoundland and Labrador was invented for postcards, a landscape of jagged coastlines, fishing boats, and the magnetic pull of the ocean. To Mark Critch, Newfoundland is home, clearly, and while he doesn't see his beloved province in quite the same light, his growing up in 1980's St. John's does explain a few things. I caught up with him earlier this season. Mark Critch is one of the most recognizable faces in Canadian comedy.
Welcome to the show!
Best known as an anchor and roving reporter on 22 Minutes.
Thank you for doing this, sir.
You can choke people and you can...
Throughout his career, he's taken aim at a lot of big names, from fellow Newfoundlander Alan Doyle.
What are you asking? This is it, what are you asking?
To Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, even that guy south of the border.
It's not raining. Do not tweet that it is raining. God is not peeing on me.
There's the basilica behind us at the top of the hill.
Coming from a province known for its storytelling, Critch is now telling his.
I don't swim, I don't skate.
Oh, yeah, that was also interesting to me.
Yeah, I don't ride a bike.
His new memoir paints a picture of growing up in Newfoundland that's a little different than you might think.
It's not a lighthouse, there's no schooners, it's not the Newfoundland experience.
It's different. I met up with Mark Critch in St. John's for a tour and a talk. this place, what is it called? LPSU
The
Hall?
LSPU Hall.
Oh, LSPU Hall. What is this place to you?
This originally was a longshoremen's protective union. So longshoremen would come here and argue and yell and scream. And then the artsy crowd got in here like mice and made a little theater here. So this is where when I was 15 years old, I did my first show here. I came down here and asked to rent it. And they gave it to us on a 60-40 split. And we did the show. And then afterwards, when they gave me the 60, I thought they'd made a mistake and took off. So this is the first place I ever performed anything that I had ever written.
So part of your childhood is defined by where you lived, which we'll go and check out, but sort of remote. The house came with your dad's job as a reporter.
Yeah, Dad was basically a lighthouse keeper, but his lighthouse was a radio station, and Dad was a journalist. So he was the last living person to cover Confederation with Canada, and he was when he was with a newspaper, and then he went on into radio, and he was very well known around here for crime reports. Because he had a very St. John's Towny accent. So he was like, Mike Critch for the VOCM News Service was the way he spoke. And everybody knew him. Everybody could do an impression of Dad. But we lived right next door to the station, which was on basically the Trans-Canada Highway, because it was they needed a high point for the transmitter. So sometimes a big black car would pull up here, and Joey Small would just put down the window of the car and kind of lean out, and you'd look up and, there's a premier. Like, oh, well, how are things today? Things are wonderful, things are fine, things are incredible, jobs. And then the car would just peel away. Like, he wouldn't even get out of the car, so that was very exciting for me.
Your mom, too, though, was a storyteller and a gossip, it sounded like. She knew what was happening everywhere.
Mom was perpetually talking, like constantly.
One of the best stories is, and I didn't know that you were asthmatic.
Epileptic.
So one of the best stories is when the Pope comes to town.
Yes.
And she gets it in her head that he can cure you.
Yeah, well, not necessarily a curing, but if your son has what the biblical writers would say, demons, and the pontiff happens to be in town, if he does a drive-by quick wave, there's a good chance, right?
Stepping onto Newfoundland soil for the first time in just
a Pope had never been here before, and so they brought me downtown. And we were out. It was a horrible storm, and we had to wait for the Pope to kind of go by in the Pope-mobile. And that was it. And it was like, you feel better? And I'm like, I guess. And and then we were trying to get out of there. The traffic was so bad, so she kept driving, and then the Canadian Army tried to say, you can't come down here. And Mom looked back, just pretend you're having an asthma attack. She said, I've got to get my son to the hospital. If he dies, it's your fault. And they're like, well, wave her through. And we have like a motorcade and a police, and I'm like fake wheezing the whole time in the back, starting to actually wheeze, it was that kind of a thing. So, So
I understood your mom when you told that story.
So she's like, no, screw this. We're going through, that kind of thing. And that was very helpful to me, that kind of thing, because later on, like people say, no, the Prime Minister won't do an interview, or no, you can't go in there because so-and-so's in there. They're like, I fake an asthma attack, go through. There's always a way, right? There's always a way.
Yeah. I wondered, being in that house, sort of isolated, I wonder whether that helped you become the person you are in some way, with your imagination or with your...
Yeah, I guess there's only two ways to go, I would guess, would be like some form of entertainer or serial killer. I think there's two, kind of career paths at that point. Right here was where I did everything. So like my bedroom was right here. The TV was right here. So I would sit here and just watch Wayne and Schuster for hours.
It wasn't a very big house.
No, it was about the same size as the house across the street.
Okay.
It was just, a tiny house by today's standards,
Right.
You were very much left to your own devices, and you had to come up with something. So the stories and characters and, little plays with action figures or what have you. And that was, your whole world was kind of in your head,
Which became sort of the challenge then when you got sent off to school, much to your horror.
Yeah.
It's because you thought they were joking.
Well, I thought this was not something that happens to a gentleman. I have a fine life here, yes. I knew my brother, got on a school bus, but he was much older and, not as outgoing as I was, surely to God. But yeah, no, I had no idea. And there wasn't a big thing about it either, because I remember, like, I grew up to know the kids around. And then all of a sudden, Mom's like, oh, we're going to go get a book bag. And I'm like, oh, a book bag? Oh, I wonder what that's for. Like puts dinkies in it, I suppose. And then the bus comes, well, there you go. I'm like,
Bye.
Should we have not spoken about this more? And I get on the bus, and I'd never seen that many kids. There was like, 30 kids on the bus or something. And I'm like, what the hell do I do now? And then I get to the parking lot, and then there's other buses. And I'm like, surely to God, they don't have children. They do. And then there were more kids inside the building. I thought, when does this stop? When does this stop? Is this the end? So yeah. So I had no idea how to interact with more than one child at a time or something.
And you started to, I think it's the first time you got a laugh when you had to do this introduction of a play.
Yeah, my first laugh was I was playing The Color Yellow in the big show at the school concert. And Archbishop was there and everything. It was a very big deal. And I was saying Archbishop, Bishop, fathers, brothers, sisters, parents, friends, and pupils, but I'd never see that word, so I'd say pupils, and they'd laugh. And I was like, pupils? And they laugh. Pupils. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Well, I'm getting this laugh. I remember doing that, and a nun just coming and grabbed me and hollering me off. And I'm seeing the bishop kind of, and I'm like, he gets it. He gets it. He loves me. What are you doing? Put me back. So I guess that was the first, kind of oh, I see.
Yeah, and then it became plays and the comedy troupe.
Comedy stuff and all that stuff, yeah.
So what did they make of it then when they would see you teasing the Prime Minister, running after ministers? Because that's different than being on a stage, which is impressive in itself. But to make a job out of mocking people in positions of authority, I mean, it's pretty.
Well, I remember when I was about to get the job, when Mercer left, and then they brought up myself and Majumder to Toronto for auditions, but then they got Colin Mockery to do it. So there was all this talk of us maybe doing it. And then back home locally, that got around. And then I was like, how did that get around? Because I didn't tell anybody. And then afterwards, when they said they want to have you be a writer and stuff, then these media people were like, oh, I hear you're going to be, the new Rick Mercer and all this stuff. I'm like, what? Who told you this? And then somebody said, your dad has been calling around media and telling them, I got a scoop for you, Bob. You might want to know the kid. I got the contract here. Like, he was very proud, of that kind of thing. But then sometimes, you'd say something or something would happen. He'd be like, oh, did you have to do that? Did you have to go that far? And
was there something that you can remember where he thought you did a disservice to?
When Carolyn Parrish got kind of pushed out of government because I got her to step on a George Bush doll during the war.
Hi, I'm Mark Critch. This week on 22 Minutes, we'll be talking to outspoken MP Carolyn Parrish about this guy, George W. Bush. Carolyn?
He was like, oh, you've ruined this woman's life. I was like, well, she stepped on it.
She decided.
I didn't, And he's like, because that was a big thing, because at the time, I got off, I remember getting off the plane from there, and the TV being on back at work, and people were like, what'd you do? I said, what? Turned on, and Don Newman was there, like, and she steps, at the 20-second mark, she steps on the head of George Bush. And what is this? What do you think this means, panel? They have a panel? And I was like, oh, no. So, that kind of was like, oh, geez.
Yeah.
You see the ramifications of something you do. But for that, he thought that was a bit much. But he still, that was on the front page of the paper, the Globe and Mail, I think, the next day. It was a picture of her.
And did you think it was too much?
No, but I called her afterwards, right, and apologized to her. I said, geez, I'm so sorry this happened, and we had a nice talk. And she goes, you know what, screw it, it's all fine and everything. And she was very nice about it.
What is it? I asked Mercer this question when he was wrapping up the show, and it's still something I'm not sure I get, no matter how many books I read or people I meet. And what is it about this place that creates people like you, like Mercer, like Alan Doyle, like all these people with these amazing storytelling abilities and comedic talents, and there's something here. Would you agree that makes people different?
I think it's the same thing that kind of got me going, living in this weird little house next to a radio station. There's something about that isolation. there's something in Newfoundlanders and Labradorians that coming together in that small place, you depend on each other. It's a community. You know the people around you. You know what's wrong. If something happens, you fix it, that kind of a thing. But the storytelling thing is, it's like, because of the isolation over the years and these small communities, you had to entertain each other as well. So if you didn't play an accordion or sing a song or step dance or something, you had to do something, and the only thing left to do was talk, right? So, you know, you got to be good at talking, and Newfoundlanders are good talking. Boy, if you want to get up in front of a bunch of Newfoundlanders and have them pay you $10 to talk, you better talk, because everybody there can talk better than you, you know? Yeah. I think that small place and entertaining each other really is where a lot of that comes from.
Well, clearly he knows how to talk, so do you. Listen, it's not just some of the best storytellers that come out of Newfoundland and Labrador, so do some of the best stories. We've got one of those a little later. It's about the LA rapper who has suddenly canceled his New Year's Eve booking in Corner Brook.
Curious. But next, a reporter's notebook from our own Paul Hunter, covering America in the shadow of a Trump presidency.
It can be overwhelming at times trying to cover the news down here because it changes so quickly and there's so much.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Thanks, Mr. President.
You know, this was going to be my remarks. It would have taken about 2 minutes, but that would have been a little boring. That's enough. That's enough.
Mr. President,
that's
I was
enough.
going to ask one of the other folks.
That's enough.
Pardon me, ma'am. Mr. President.
That's enough. Remember I used to tell you how easy it is to be presidential? But you'd all be out of here right now. You'd be so bored.
So that's Donald Trump in a nutshell, really, playing to a crowd of his followers, lashing out at the press, sometimes both at once. What's it like then to cover a president who uses journalists as political props? Our Washington correspondent Paul Hunter tells us that and more in his reporter's notebook.
It was a busy, busy, busy year. I think if you want to know about America in the age of Trump, there's one place to go to find out, and that's America. We went to a Trump rally in Houston in the sort of waning days of the midterm campaign. It is a show, and Donald Trump knows how to put on a show.
Ted's opponent in this race is a stone-cold phony.
As a journalist, we're kept in a pen in the middle.
They kept saying the fake news back here.
Then Trump makes a reference to the media out there, right? And he'll gesture to the pen. Suddenly, everything changes. The tone in the room darkens. And so, you know, how does that make our job more difficult? I mean, it's intimidating, right? It's an unsettling position to be in when all of a sudden the crowd in the arena looks at you, the media, in the pen and starts booing. And then the rally ends after an hour or something like that. And so we did what any, good news crew would do, is now we're released from the media pen, so we go out and let's talk to people.
Electrifying. He's, he knows how to move an audience.
It was great. I mean, this was really the thing that we needed.
And people were, pumped up because they'd just seen Trump, but pleasant again, which again reminds me, and I think should remind all of us, that everybody who supports Trump, they're just Americans who happen to believe in this guy and the things that he says and stands for. But they're nice people.
Brett's assault on me drastically altered my life for a very long time.
When I think back to moments of the year, and I think of Blasey Ford just telling her story in such a believable way, to be contradicted by Kavanaugh, but then within a few days, well, we've decided that we can't get to the bottom of it really, so blah, blah, bada bing, bada bang, he's in.
I take this office with gratitude and no bitterness.
That was an unusual, to say the least, I think what resonated with me and, millions of people is just what it must have taken for her to do that. How hard that was to do, knowing the fallout that would come from that. I don't think I'll ever forget it. It was remarkable.
Is the National.
Tonight, residents of a tight-knit Florida community are face to face with the horror of a mass shooting, and the script is eerily familiar.
You live in the States long enough as a journalist, you're going to cover a lot of mass shootings. It's just the way it is. And I've covered my share of them in my time here. And so this year we had Parkland.
And like so many other such shootings, what has followed this one is outrage and despair.
If you do not stand with us by saying we need to pass common sense gun legislation, you have chosen death, and none of the millions.
After Parkland, there was the rally in Washington. It was one of those unforgettable moments in this country.
I have a dream that enough is enough.
So in the days around that student rally after Parkland, we wondered, what about other people? And so we took a drive up to Baltimore, and we went to a high school in Baltimore.
How many people here know somebody who's been shot? Raise your hand.
But a black person gets shot, do they do anything about it? No. Did we have a march? No.
And they said, and nobody marches for us. It's not in headlines. We're black. You know? And so what goes through your head is like, what is going on here? Why isn't the whole country rising up to stop that? Is it because nobody cares? I don't believe Americans don't care about that. But people at that school in Baltimore believe that. And it's sad. It can be overwhelming at times trying to cover the news down here because it changes so quickly and there's so much. But I find that when you do your job.
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Thanks, Mr. President. It seems there was some give and take on both sides for this deal. I wonder what, as corny as it sounds, it's satisfying. I mean, if the job of journalists is to inform people, to inform voters, to inform the population so people can make better choices about what they do with their lives, how they vote, then you've done your job, and I think journalists can feel good about that. When you do that, I think you survive because truth rises.
He's good at his job. We have to take a short break, and just ahead, 3 missing snowmobilers are lucky to be alive.
Family hug, Are you the son?
Yes.
Okay.
Aw, hug it up, guys. The reunion in Revelstoke is our moment of the day. But first, a Newfoundland New Year's party got burned, and yes, that's a pun. In case you missed it.
I was gonna clean my room until I got high.
This is Afro Man with his Turn of the Millennium Pot Slacker rap anthem, Because I Got High. Afro Man was set to perform at this Corner Brook, Newfoundland venue, a coup for bar manager Dave Young.
Tickets went, I couldn't even believe how fast he went. The bar phone was just going off the hook.
Then Afro Man posted this.
Canada and Newfoundland, yeah, man, had some real super high airplane tickets. Can't do the New Year's thing. I apologize for this. I didn't know Canadian plane tickets was that high. I was gonna check Canadian plane tickets, but then I got high.
That left Young high and dry with his customers.
Some are like, what's going on? Some are like, yeah, cool, Dave, because a lot of people know me. They know like they're going to get their money back.
Luckily, Young has a replacement act lined up.
I DJ myself, so I'm going to go and put off a full show. I'm still going to give them a good time. I'm not going to let this be a downer for anybody.
As for Afro Man, plan is he comes to Corner Brook in the new year, maybe.
Hey, 'cause I got high.
All too many Canadians have received the terrifying news that loved ones are lost in the cold. Now, just days ago, 3 men from Alberta went missing while snowmobiling on a mountain in Revelstoke, BC. Todd Kennedy, his son Braden, and family friend Ryan Piper. The good news is they were found safe, and their emotional reunion with family and friends is our moment of the day. It's especially powerful given how scared everyone was.
I was terrified, to be honest. I mean, the weather's not good in Revelstoke today. It's raining, it's snowing, the weather is really bad there.
When something like this impacts your family, you just really know who your friends and family really are.
First came the news that the missing trio was safe, and then came this.
Guys! When do we get out of the snow? I told you they'd make a fire. You're not allowed to do this to us ever again. What do you have to say for yourself?
When you go sledding, make sure you don't take a wrong turn.
Okay, that's only one bit of advice there. You heard from Denise Kennedy. So her husband Todd and her son Braden were both out there, so she was a little stressed out when our producer reached out to her today and said, you know, how's everybody today? How did you celebrate? She said, with gratitude and alcohol, as you do.
Yes, wise decision. And I should say they actually stopped when they realized they were lost and built a fire. So that is actually, I guess, how you do it, other than the gratitude and alcohol. And they apparently slept all day because they were exhausted. So yeah, don't do that again.
Yeah.
And grounded, like forever. That's the National for Sunday, December 30th. Good night, everybody.
Good night.